Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ariel and today I'm actually celebrating the fact that I won my Goodreads challenge for the year. So I don't really broadcast the fact that for 3 years I have not been reading at all. Something happened in high school, which is a case for a lot of people usually, is that they read a lot when they're younger and then when they get older, they just kind of fizzle out for some reason or another. And for me, I just kind of fell out of love with reading. Instead of a party hat, I'm sipping some coffee from this really cool mug. I don't have a name for him. I've had him for about 5 or 6 years, but isn't he the coolest little guy you've ever seen in your life? But yeah, I just kind of wanted this to be a chatty video. I guess I should have brought a party hat and some streamers, but maybe that'll happen if I get a year on this channel. Don't want to set the goal too high. As excited as I am that I reached my Goodreads goal of 50 books after not reading any books for 3 years, it does make me contemplate a little bit about the reasons why I started this channel and the reason why I'm reading, really. So the reason why I started reading pretty much out of nowhere kind of has to do with a particular book that I read in January, which was kind of weird that I read it in January because it just happened to be the beginning of the year, obviously. In January, I don't know if I told the story before. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. I don't know what I've said in videos or what I haven't. I recorded a lot of videos and never posted them, so if I'm repeating myself, apologies. In the beginning of the year, one of my best friends there's some circumstances that led to an open seat to a cruise that her and her roommate were going on. And I'm friends with her and her roommate, and she said, hey, would you want to come with us? And I was like, yeah. But while I was on that cruise, I had actually, right before then, had been thinking about the fact that I did want to start reading more, but I just didn't know, how. And I had all these books that I brought back from my mom's, and I was going through them, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bring 2 books that I brought from my mom's with me on the cruise because it was a week, and we had to fly down to Florida and then fly back up. So I had a lot of time to read if I wanted to. And one of those books that I actually brought was The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Now, I know that this is a book that's talked a lot. Oh my god, I cannot talk. I know this is a book that's talked a lot about. Oh my god, this is a book that's talked about a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. But when I read it, I had never heard of booktube. I really didn't know anything about it. I vaguely knew about the Goldfinch. I never read it because it was way too thick. Little did I know, I played myself because this is a 700-page book too. I brought this with me because I was like, you know what, this seems kind of interesting, college stuff. Yeah, and this is probably the best book I've ever read in my life. When I was younger, I only used to read middle grade, young adult books all the time, only. I thought of literary fiction as really snotty, just something that's oh, too good for me, I'm not gonna read it, it's for older people, old ladies with book clubs. Pause. While you're on a cruise, you don't have cell phone service at all unless you want to pay $100 for the whole week. The whole point of it was just to kind of hang out and have fun. More and more while I was going through this book, I would find little pockets of time to pick it up because I was just so immersed in the story. I do plan on picking this up sometime later this autumn or winter just because I freaking love this book. So when I read that book, it really, really changed how I thought about reading. I wanted to see what other people thought. Usually I would do that where after I read a book, I would read what other people thought, but I never wrote what I thought for some reason. I don't know. I just didn't use the Goodreads app. I had looked up book reviews on YouTube too because I had been watching YouTube for a really long time. I've been vaguely aware of booktube. I had no idea that they called themselves booktube. I'm saying they as if like I'm not part of it. I didn't know that this community was called booktube. I actually came across this one video that talked about the secret history and how they didn't like it and how it was actually pretty awful. It did actually kind of spark my interest. I watched a lot more of their videos. I watched recommended videos with other booktubers, and the rest is history. So the reason why I wanted to create my own channel so soon after I discovered it, really, I mean, again, I knew about it, but I didn't really invest time into it before. The reason why I wanted to do it really was because I wanted to talk about books with people who also like reading books, and I also wanted to have a reason to create a channel. I've mentioned this before in one of my videos, but I've always wanted to create a YouTube channel. I didn't know what it was going to be about. I thought maybe it was going to be a TV movie reviewing channel or like a more political channel. Think of in the vein of Sarah Z or Big Joel are the biggest ones that I think my content would have been most similar to. To put yourself out there, not so much like in the movie reviewing part of YouTube, although they can also be like real big jerks over there. But if you put your face and your voice connected to a political YouTube channel, especially in the United States, in this political climate, it's very dangerous. Not saying that I would be ashamed of or embarrassed by the views that I have, but it is a pretty rough time to talk about left-wing socialist views. And the thing that I actually really appreciated about booktube is that there are like so many, almost all of the people in booktube are left-wing or feminist or whatever word that you want to use that's basically like progressive, I guess you could say. I created my booktube channel and I did what a lot of other people do, which is fine. I know I did what a lot of people do when they first start. I made a couple wrap-ups, a couple TBRs, a couple hauls, and so I have been having this kind of creative crisis. I thought maybe if I did vlogs that would make it better, and it didn't. I did post one vlog for the reading rush the first 3 days. It just is not what I want to create, and I knew that if I were going to try to make a vlog, I had to do all of it or none of it. Like I really had to put myself out there, put in a lot of effort and work into it. And I did pretty good for what I can do, like what resources are available to me now. I obviously don't have a really nice camera. I record on my phone. I just got a microphone. And plus there was some like technical issues with the audio. I don't want to get into it. I just probably will not post the reading rush vlogs, not only because it's September, but also because it's just a lot of work. The audio is way off. It's just not a good time. And so this kind of brings me to, what do I actually want to create? I have actually had some pretty big ideas since I developed the idea to create a booktube channel. I just felt scared. I felt like there is no way I can do like a big discussion video as my first video. I felt like it was necessary for, if people were interested to see my content, then they would then go into the backlog and want to watch the rest of my content. And that's a wrong way to think, because there have been plenty of YouTubers that the first video that they make, it can be extremely successful, but the first video they make is something that they want to make, not something that they feel like they have to make. And I felt like I had to make these TBRs, these wrap-ups, these hauls, because that's staple booktube content. And I'm not talking down on that kind of stuff. I obviously watch it. I enjoy it, but it comes to, would you rather it be a part of a community, or are you making your YouTube channel because you want to grow, to be creative? And those two things can be together for sure. If all the videos that I do is only those staple booktube content, how does that make my channel any different than any others? That's honestly a little scary to say. I am a little nervous to be posting my opinions and views on booktube, because since I've joined, there has been a lot of things I don't like. I do not particularly like book Twitter. I don't want to get into it, honestly. But to keep it brief, to keep it sweet, I really want to push myself creatively. There are some ideas I have that take more time than a month to film, for me at least. I am a pretty slow reader. I'm not one of those people that read 30 books a month. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I personally cannot process so much information in such a short amount of time. So if I film a bunch of wrap-ups, and let's say that there are some dedicated followers out there who always watch my videos, they'll see books being repeated. And this is something that's kind of something that shoots booktube channel creators in the foot, and there's no real way around it. That's part of the reason why I'm contemplating whether do I actually want to give up making wrap-ups? Do I want to find a different way to make wrap-ups? And I'm sure that there are people out there that I have yet to find that do make creative wrap-ups. If you have these long form ideas, if you want to make a whole video dedicated to like a book series like I want to do, it's hard to be like, oh yeah, this month I read the first 2 books of the series, this is what I thought about them. And then next month I wrap up the last 2 books in the series, this is what I thought of. And then after that I make one big video containing a sort of vlog, like live reactions, and then like my final thought. Why would anybody who watches my wrap-ups want to watch that vlog? That's kind of like where my headspace is at right now. It's not for every video that I want to make, but for a lot of videos I want to make right now, it is. It's kind of like balancing those 2 things. I think Read with Cindy does a pretty good job because she read Court of Thorns and Roses, I think is the series name. I don't know the series name. Maybe it's a court series, I don't know. But she does mention the books that she reads in a wrap-up, and then she does like a video specifically on a book that's like freaking hilarious. I'll link her most recent one down. So fun. So now I kind of want to talk about the more positive things that I've found through booktube. So you know how when you go to a bookstore and you're so freaking overwhelmed about like what book you want to read? Yeah, that's like me all the time. I'm one of those people, I'm still one of those people honestly, that spends an hour deciding on 1 or 2 books to bring home. And if it's the library, I spend maybe 30 minutes on like 8 or 6 books to bring home. I am still figuring out my reading tastes. I grew up reading Twilight, the Hush Hush series, Shiver, like, but when I watched a lot of booktube and I started watching wrap-ups and TBRs, I suddenly started opening my Goodreads app and putting books on my TBR shelf, which had never happened before. Usually when I would be like, oh, I'm in the mood to like read, but I don't know what to read, none of the books on my shelf seem interesting because most of them are books I bought for school. And so I would like open up the best fantasy books. I don't know, best fantasy books of all time. Like, sure, I could go down for some fantasy. I like watching Lord of the Rings. And I would get like The Name of the Wind and buy that book and it not work out. Wow, I looked real ugly right there. Sorry, the lighting's awful. So yeah, I wouldn't work out. Surprising to nobody but myself. When I started watching booktube and I heard the synopsises, I looked it up on Goodreads and I was like, huh. And I would go to the library and pick up those books and read them and absolutely like love them. The first few that come to mind are Celeste Ng's Little Fires Everywhere and Everything I Never Told You. Everything I Never Told You is another book that I gave like 5 stars to. It is probably one of my favorite books of all time now because of booktube. There is absolutely no way I would have ever picked up that book on my own had it not been for booktube. As much as I don't appreciate some of the book Twitter side of things, I really, really appreciate the recommendations that so many people have given me and their audience. Some of them haven't been so great than others. Some people hated Everything I Never Told You. But the fact is that these people are sharing the books that they read to people, saying, hey, this is really awesome, you should try it out, or hey, this book was not that great, didn't work for me, but here I am talking about it. Sometimes people will talk about books that they didn't like, and I'm like, that actually sounds kind of interesting, which is like something extraordinary. So as I was going and reading these books, I was kind of discovering what books I actually like. I have discovered that I don't particularly like fantasy, even though I really enjoyed Six of Crows and The Cruel Prince. I have yet to finish either of the sequels because I realize I'm really bad at reading series. But I am like almost done with Wicked King, and it's a freaking banger. The kind of books that I like now, the kind of books that interest me, are so different than what I read when I was younger that is just kind of surprising. I kind of wish that I had found booktube earlier, because I would have liked to know how my reading tastes have changed so drastically, because if I had kept on reading for those 3 years, it would have probably been like more gradual. So since starting this booktube channel, I have gotten a microphone, and I've gotten a little phone stand for my phone, so that way it's not propped up on a pile of books. That's what we call growth, ladies. And I also have gotten way more comfortable talking to the camera, and I knew that would happen. I knew that the first video would be the worst, and it's definitely the worst. I'm contemplating taking a lot of the videos that I made down, not because I'm hiding anything, but I'm just a little embarrassed. Those videos, to me, I don't feel like they reflect who I am very well. Sorry that this video is a little long-winded. Hopefully the audio is okay. Obviously I'll know when I edit it, but if it's weird on your end, please tell me. I should stop rambling. Yeah, I have yet to film my August and July wrap up, I think. So if you guys are at all interested in watching it, please let me know. I think I'm just going to skip those months for now. If you're really interested to see what I read, follow me on Goodreads or friend me. I accept most people's friend requests, as long as you're not a creepy old man trying to hit on me. Basically, that's if you're better than that. If you're just a creepy old man, I'll still accept you. Just don't hit on me, please. But yeah, that's my video. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in another 2 months. Bye!